to a place that I long for, and my heart will be the pathway. I'm searching for a love that's evermore.
My affiliation with Pasadena started in 1975, I think, something like that. I was about 5 years old, I think. I was born in Hartford, Connecticut. Um, Me and my mother moved from Hartford to Pasadena, and shoot, oh, and I've been here. I've been in Pasadena ever since. My first school I remember was I want to say Linda Vista when I was really young, and then I remember going to Burbank Elementary. And from Burbank, I went to Jackson Elementary. From Jackson, I went to Wilson. Second year of middle school, I went to Elliott. From Elliott, I went to PHS. I used to go to Marshall Summer School. From PHS, I went to Muir. I transferred to Muir because all my friends were there, but I couldn't graduate at Muir, so I had to come back to PHS so I could get my diploma. And you know, I went. Like I said, I'm Mr. Pasadena. We started at Pasadena High, and Rodney and I used to pass each other in between classes. And one of my best friends, rest in peace, Hanji D's, he used to always try to get me and Rodney to slap box because Rodney was known to be able to slap box real good, and so was I. Like, you know, so he used to always like, you know, Rodney, I bet you can't get Steve. I bet, you know. But Rodney was, you know, I used to be really popular in Pasadena first as just a dancer. And then eventually, I was doing Michael Jackson for some years, and I was really popular imitating Michael Jackson. So, Rodney and some of his friends were putting together a group to go on this TV show, this lip sync TV show called Putting on the Hits. And at that same time, I was playing football for PHS, and I was really concerned at that time about what I was gonna be in my life. You know, at that particular time, I had just lost my grandma, so I was really intended on becoming something special. You know, so anyway, I would pass Rodney several times during school, and one day Rodney was like, "Hey man, I'm going on Putting on the Hits, man. Some friends going on Putting on the Hits." And I was like, "What, doing what?" Because, you know, Rodney used to turn flips and box and stuff. You know, he was an athlete, you know. So I was like, going on Putting on the Hits, that's like a lip sync show, right? And he said, "You just got to watch, you know." And he said, well, he told me about the auditions. He said he was auditioning. And then he told me one other week or so, "Hey, we won, we got on the show." So he told me when they were going to be on the show. So that Saturday I saw the show. And it was even a guy that was in my art class named Reggie on stage with him. And they was dancing, doing New Edition. I was like, oh, shit. I was like, I didn't know you like music like that, you know. So anyway, that was the start of Troop. Shortly thereafter, they performed on the show again, and they won the entire thing. They won the entire thing doing New Edition. And a producer saw the show, a guy named Greg Perret. He saw the show and wanted to know if the guys could really sing, you know. And Rodney's mom told him, yeah. You know, even though it wasn't a singing group, and she told Rodney, she was like, "You got to put together a singing group before we meet this producer." So one of those days passed, and Rodney was like, "Yo, man, you got to talk to my mom. You got to meet my mom. A producer saw the show and wants to know if we could sing. You know, you got to meet my mom. You got to talk to my mom." So anyway, long story short, that was my introduction into the group. I later performed for his mom, and she let me be in the group. And then John Short followed after, and I met a guy named Lawrence at Farnsworth Park in Altadena one time singing. My friend Angie, she actually told me about the guy, so I went up there and met him. And at the same time, one of the guys that was in the original group when I originally got in, didn't want to be in it anymore. He thought it was for nothing. We were rehearsing for nothing. Nothing's happening. And I had met Lawrence. I was like, shoot, I know the perfect guy that can replace him. You know, this dude can sing, you know. So anyway, that's how Alan got in. And shoot, maybe, you know, I guess 3 years later, we got a record deal with Atlantic Records right before I graduated. And that was the start. That's how it all started, right there in Pasadena. Me and Alan, we sang on everything together. It was almost like the Whispers, you know. Alan would sing a verse, I would sing a verse. Certain songs, Alan would sing the whole thing, I would sing the whole thing. But for the most part, we shared everything. But I always considered Alan the lead singer, just because he was, maybe because he was the oldest in the group or something. I don't know, but I always considered him like the lead singer, and I was like a co-lead singer, you know, because I was more into the performance side of it, you know. So it didn't matter if I had to sing my part, but shit, you can have that. I mean, you know, I want to get down. You know? Well, Rodney's sister introduced us to that song. Now you're talking Sweet November. That's around '92 when we recorded it. His sister introduced it to us in '85. And me and Rodney used to sing that song, man. Like, I mean, that was our song, man. You know? And when it came time for us to do the third album, the Deeper album, I saw how All I Do worked for us. We picked a good song. You knew it just a little. Wasn't a smash, but it's a good song. Certain people knew it, you know. So I wanted a song like that, and Sweet November was the first song that popped out, you know. That was one of them Babyface songs people kind of sleep on, but that's a smash, right? And shoot, we recorded it, and the funny thing, I'll show you how the universe works, vibration works. I told Babyface in LA that Troop was getting ready to remake Sweet November. We were rehearsing next to each other. They had just signed Tony Braxton, so there was, you know, whatever. So LA came over there and was like, man, you should remake I'll Send You Roses, you know, I'll Send You Roses. And I was like, and then Kenny was like, nah, Sweet November would be, you know, that would be a good one. So, but I was already been on Sweet November, you know. So anyway, we were on our way we got to rehearsal one day, and this was the day I was actually going to record the song. So I told Babyface, I went over to next door and I was like, hey Kenny, you know, I'm getting ready to record Sweet November. If you want to come by the studio, I would love that, you know. You know, I would love for you to come by. I didn't know how to ask him for help or anything, you know, I just invited him to the studio. And so he, you know, he's real quiet like Mike, you know, so he got the address and stuff from me. And he showed up to the studio that evening with his crew, all of his equipment, all his gear. He brought everything and produced the song with me.
Wow.
Yes. Me, him, and Daryl Simmons is in the studio coming up with the sweet, 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 sweet. You know that stuff at the end. And I was like, damn, man. I was in awe the whole time. You know, I don't care how famous I was. I'm always a fan, bro. I love who I love, period. Yeah. And Babyface is like my song dad. Yeah. So I was just in such awe to be in there with Babyface, and he goes in the vocal booth, and, you know, because he was getting ready to leave after they worked on the music and he made the music the way he wanted. He went in the vocal booth and sang like 3-4 tracks from start to finish. A new way, you know, just singing it in this year or whatever year we were in. He just updated the vocals so I could have a guy to sing from. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm like, what? I'm just like, oh man, God loves me. You know. Anyway, and it was just a wonderful experience, man. Babyface came, he told me I didn't have to blow it up that he did it. He wasn't trying to get credit. Being a songwriter, I understand why he did it. You know, it's his song. It's 100% Babyface song. So a group like Troop doing his song, if he produces it and make it sound like all the other shit that he got out already, I got another number one record. Don't matter when I wrote it, you know.
Right.
Anyway, number one record 2 weeks in a row.
Wow.
So, but anyway, that was a wonderful experience. That Sweet November, man, working with Babyface. Oh, shoot, I mean, Sweet November was number one longer than any of the other songs, I think. But I think just hands down, All I Do Is Think of You is what people know us by. You know, I think that's Troop's song, and it's so ironic that would be the song to be our signature song, as much as we loved it. But again, that's vibration.
Yes.
We love that song.
Yeah.
And you get it right back, you know. It's a trip. But I think All I Do is our biggest song.
Okay.
People love Spread My Wings too, though.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
That was a pretty big song too. We had a couple pretty big songs, man. I mean, even the songs that didn't go number one, like I'm Not Soup was top 5, but it was real popular. There was a song that I wrote in the 10th grade that made the first album called Young Girl that was never a single, and a lot of our fan mail used to be about this song Young Girl. We even got a suicide note. A girl was gonna kill herself. And that song made her change her mind, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. I was doing the Lord's work.
That's right. But it is all the Lord.
Well, you know, I'm just playing, but yeah, you know,
that's
just
true.
helping, you know,
It's real.
songs are medicine for people, you know, that's
Yeah.
what it was for me and my mom, so. But yeah, we had a lot of popular songs. Troop was always, we never did reach that new edition status or prestige, you know, we never carried ourselves like those kind of young men, you know, we're always kind of loose around the edges, you know. But we always were like the people's champ, you know. The average person loves Troop, period. You know what I'm saying? And I accepted that place, you know, to this day, you know. Even if we don't have a lot of popular new songs, the people who really like Troop, they send you inboxes, man, I love that new song, man. You still got it, man. People sleep on y'all. You know, hey, that's good for me because I know they sleep. You know? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we it's only 4 of us now. Alan's no longer part of the group. At this point, why he's not in the group is because he's decided, I guess at this stage, he wants to do his own thing. You know, he wants to record and do the music that he wants to do. But the extent of him not being in the group is much deeper than that. It's all the way back to the beginning, to be honest, you know. The best way I can describe it where people can gain something from it is when Alan first got in the group, he had no choice but to ride on the vibrational frequency of the 4 of us. We were very high. Unstoppable, nothing's gonna stop us. Winning every talent show in Pasadena, you just was not gonna stop us, you know. So when he got in the group, whatever his differences were, and we knew that right away. He immediately told us when I think the first meeting, he told us that he didn't want to be treated like how we treat each other in the group. He wanted to be treated more like how we treat Rodney's mother, the manager of the group. And we ran his ass off, throwing rocks and bottles at him for about 3 blocks. Get out of here with that. So we knew right then we were dealing with somebody totally different than us. But he had no choice but to ride and tune in to our frequency. You get it? After success, and he gets his foot in, and after he's the sound, and after fame, this is how it went. I was the guy in the group that was the outgoing guy. The choreography that you saw Troop doing is because I sought out particular people to work with me and Rodney, because me and Rodney made up all the steps. But I had a vision basing what we loved about New Edition and what we need to be to separate ourselves from them New Edition. I sought out certain people So I was the guy when it came to the music, when we were in the studio, rather than just waiting to cut my vocals so that I could leave, I was interested in what was going on in the studio. I was interested when Gerald Levert was saying, no, sing it like this. No, one more time, sing it again, making us sing it like him. It was fascinating to me, like, oh shit, the producer is the guy. It's not the artist, the producer is the shit. Quincy Jones is the shit. You know what I mean? So I took an interest to that, and at this time I was vibing so high, everything that I focused on, the universe had to give it to me. Because I was vibrating on the same frequency as the universe, what we call God. I was in full relationship vibrationally. Very high. There was no low in me, right? Everything that I wanted to do opened up. As far as, and when I say that, I wanted the knowledge as a producer. I wanted to know what are you listening for that made you choose that? You know, I wanted to get that, and I went after it, and I got it. Alan introduced me into writing songs when he first got in the group. He showed me how to write songs, so I was becoming this Frankenstein monster between Alan, Chucky Booker, Joe Levert, Keith Sweat, Babyface, all these people that I was around. I was becoming a little Mike. It's just like Michael Jackson walking through Motown, walking in different rooms, walking in on Stevie, and I was getting the same experience, but I was absorbing it on purpose. It wasn't accidental. I was trying to get all of this stuff so that I could be one of all these things, you know. So anyway, the more I became that, the writer, producer, industry, music guy, the more Alan was on the kick of people knowing and respecting him for being the lead singer of True, right? And I mean from managers to, I don't care who we were engaged with. When it comes down to it, I'm the lead. I'm Alan from True. You know, that was his thing, and it was fine with me. But prior to all this, before we even got into the music business, me and my mother invited Alan to live with us. So I lived with Alan for a couple years before we were ever famous, and I got to know him then when we lived together. You know, I was young. You know, I always had girls, whether it was girlfriends or girlfriends. I always had chicks. You know, Rachel Jones used to come over. He couldn't believe Rachel was coming over to me and my mom's little 2-bedroom apartment and kicking it. You know, man, we still friends. You know, but he couldn't believe these girls, these so-called popular women in Pasadena, these young women, were my friends, and I wasn't in awe of them and trying to sleep with them. He couldn't understand my get down. You understand what I'm saying? He couldn't understand it, and to me, it caused him to look at me a certain way, right? So it went from that to eventually, once we got famous, him trying to be just as, it's like if I looked at you and saw how you take care of yourself, and if I was this kind of guy and I looked at you a certain way and compared myself to you, I'm gonna fall short. You understand? I didn't grow up that way. My mom knew I didn't have a dad, so she instilled in me on purpose how good I was and how you're a good thing, you know. So I think he looked at me in a way in comparison to himself, and that caused him to, it's like a love-hate thing. He hates me. But this is a very kind, good guy. This is a very good guy that I'm dealing with, so I love him. You know what I'm trying to say? but I hate him. He wants to do everything. He's the first one to turn in songs. He thinks he's the shit. You understand? I can look at it from the outside and see me being in young as aggressive. I come from McKinley Branch Boys Club. I'm just aggressive in that way, bro. If we're gonna do it, I'm in. I'm gonna give 100% of me to this thing, and that was intimidating for him, right? And that riff never did get any better. It went from him trying to sleep with your girl to, like I was saying, if I look at you a certain way, if I could get your girl, that means it ain't what I see. I can prove to myself that you ain't what I think you are by appearance, because your chick likes me, so now I guess I am something, rather than gaining and seeking for self first,
Right.
which is something we grow and learn to do, but he did that to all of us. So it wasn't just like a Steve thing. It was somebody being different. Alan comes from what we call a stable environment, mother, father up in Altadena, Los Flores. He comes from money. We down there in the hood, Rodney and them from the projects. My mom wasn't going to the projects, but we was around the corner. You feel what I'm trying to say? We was ghetto dudes. And we had a different get down. I grew up in the boys club. We deal with 1 million people at the boys club, Dennis. 1 million. You know what I'm saying? We know how to deal with personalities growing up in the boys club. He didn't have that. He didn't have that, man. And he wasn't able to gel with us. And once I saw coming up, once I saw he was shaky, like once I saw he would make a decision and it wasn't a business, it was personal. Like he would make a personal decision on some business. I never did trust his decision making from songs to business.
Right.
Get it? And that caused a further rift, because now Steve is against my music. Nothing to do with that. But I know that if I've been working on an album for 6 months and I haven't seen you until you get a call and say, hey, the album is about to wrap up, and then all of a sudden you rush in with 2 songs at the very end, everybody in the group is looking and saying, let's listen. Yeah, I'm just being honest. Mm-hmm. Of course, I'm the one representing the other 3. Don't get it twisted. I'm speaking for them with him, so with him, I'm taking on all that too. Mm-hmm. Now it's us against him, because I'm speaking very bluntly about everything that's going on, bro. We've been in here recording. I never took a break in the music business until last year when my mother was sick before she passed. Mm-hmm. I've been in the studio every day since back in the day. Mm-hmm. These dudes don't come to the studio. Alan, he didn't come to the studio. He come to record and he's gone back in his car. Totally different kind of people me and him are. Mm-hmm. That's why we don't get along. Because if we get ready to work on a Troop album, Steve is going to turn in 5 songs. Mm-hmm. Hey, let's listen to these 5, see what y'all want to choose from. Let's see. See what I'm saying? I'm not going to wait and see and hope somebody from the outside that we got to pay. Mm-hmm. You got to pay when you involve other people. Mm-hmm. But you got Lionel Richie in your group. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm trying to say? Let's get the record done, man. Now he's worried these days about how much I do. Mind you. Now I'm saying these days. Mind you. I did the entire album. This is back in the day. Mm-hmm. I did 3 songs on the first album. I got 3 songs, me and him together. The second song is when I started producing. The second album, that's when I started producing. You know what I mean? That's when I started producing on the Attitude album. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. This third album, I spent 2 years. We were leaving the first management. I went through, and we had peace. Yeah. We have a lot of peace when we travel, when we go places. When we go to the other person's room, it's like a peaceful thing. We're not out there, and it's working amongst. Stepping in shit is shit, man. You know what I'm saying? You smell it, mm-hmm. You feel it when you walk. It's there. You can't ignore it, and that's what it's like when you have that off balance thing happening. So, Mario, B2K, Jennifer Hudson, Tyrese, Chris Brown, Catherine McPhee, Elliot Yamin, Aretha Franklin. So many people. I mean, Ruben Studdard, Genuine, Donnell Jones. I got both my Grammys from Jennifer Hudson, and I wrote a song called "Take You Down" for Chris Brown, and a song for "Invisible" for Jennifer Hudson, and I got Grammys for each of those.
Wow.
I wrote a song called "No Air" by Jordan Sparks and Chris Brown. That was one of the biggest songs of my career to this day. I got a couple ASCAP awards or something on one of these walls for "No Air." Shoot, I mean, the movie Shark Tale, all 62 songs on Dreamgirls movie, Shrek 3, Panda, Kung Fu Panda 3 or 2.
You wrote all the Dream Girl?
I mean, yeah, we worked on all 62 songs. Oh. You know the part where the little kids is doing the Jacksons, kind of like Jackson. That's me singing all that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, actually, me, Tank, and my buddy Eric Dawkins, we're singing all that. Step into the bad side.
Yeah.
Keith Sweat, Keith Washington, Ricky Bell. I mean, I'm working with Ralph Tresvant right now.
So you come in full circle, huh?
I mean, yeah, I mean, me and Ralph end up being best friends. Isn't that crazy? But I've worked with a lot of people as a writer-producer. That's what I've been doing. The Whispers gave me my first production at 18, right out of high school. They heard a song that I liked, that I wrote, and they paid me to produce it. That was my first gold album. And from there, I've just been writing and producing the whole time. Live in the now. I wouldn't be so focused on tomorrow in the sense of where you worship tomorrow so much that you don't see now. Because we did that, you know. We didn't take pictures and document our walk after the record deal like we should have, because we were headed to Michael Jacksonism. You feel me? And of course we fell short. But I would tell anybody that was trying to pursue music to look at the nature of the business and see if your love and desire for being a music artist matches the get back that you could receive from the music industry. Like right now, people really don't buy our music. So if you're pursuing becoming a artist, you want to be a singer like Chris Brown, you have to look and see what's gonna make, if no one's buying music, what's gonna make you make people buy music and not download your music or pay Spotify $9 and get your shit for nothing. You understand what I'm saying? Absolutely. The nature of the business is as such. Like I have a regular job. I work at UPS. So I do music and work now. I have residuals coming in. I have royalties coming in, the same ones I've always had coming in. But I have to get a job because the nature of the business is not... for instance, if a record label signs an artist right now, they're only going to want to pay you as a producer now that the industry is the way that it is. 10, 15 grand, right? You get half of that when you start, half of that when you finish. So that's a nice, cool check, right? If you're not doing 2-3 songs on that project, you got to wait until another project comes along when you can make maybe 10 or another 15, but you got bills this whole time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? The residuals change. Sometimes I get a New Jack City check for $200. Sometimes it's $2. Sometimes my royalties from the songs I just named to you might come in and I might have $8 grand. I might have 1,000. Sometimes I might have 800. You see what I'm saying? So the music industry, nobody can teach you those things. You know what I'm saying? And if you're not smart and good with money, I never became, no matter how much of the millions that I've generated as a worker bee, I was never that same on business. That's why you don't see a guy. You see me smile when I say I have a job, because music treated me well. It's not a fault. You know, I haven't encountered a fault of anything. You know, I didn't do right by what I was earning. You know, it's your fault. If you think you landed in a money tree and it's gonna always be that way, fool on you, or shame on you. You know, so. You know, I have to keep my head up and just keep it popping and do what I do best until it turns around again. You know what I mean? Everybody's starting to do 90s R&B, which is really my lane as a writer producer. So, like I said, I'm working in the truck at UPS and getting calls from people at labels saying, "Hey man, we need 3 songs for our group." You know, and that's cool. And it further confirms what I'm learning as this guy that I am now, this educated person, that a lot of times we don't realize, because we weren't taught, when you ask for something in prayer, we usually do it as prayer because we're black, all we know is Christianity. That's just what we know. So usually when we ask for something, you were never taught that whatever you're asking for, if you have any resistance or negativity towards that thing that you're asking for, you're blocking.
That's right.
Pasadena needs to come out on the 31st. We're going to be at Tapia, 119 East Colorado Boulevard. And Pasadena should come out because it's enough of supporting somebody or rooting for somebody when they're dead and gone. You know, we want you to love us while we're alive. We want to celebrate with everybody while we're alive, you know. And it's not about what we're accomplishing at this moment. It's about life's accomplishments, you know, from music to becoming adults and becoming grown men. I mean, and being from a city like Pasadena that's so popular yet so isolated, you know, this is something big. This, you know, and it doesn't matter if we just hang out together and just get to share energy. It's an awesome thing because we're experiencing the moment. You know what I'm saying? We're experiencing the moment, and it's a way to bring Pasadena. We can be one. And if you can understand what I'm trying to say, we can become one by supporting each other. It's like a gang, you know what I'm saying? It's like when troops show up, we know Pasadena coming. Yeah. You know, and that's just how it should be, you know. People from the East Coast, that's how they get down. You know, people that support New Edition, I don't care where they go, when they come out, new song, no song, people are supporting New Edition. And Troop, I think we deserve that same kind of support, especially from our people, you know. So that's why people should come out. They should come out to have a good time and just, you know, realize where we are at the moment, all of us, you know. You know, beautiful thing.